So today we're going to do the last section in chapter 12, which is 12-6. It's surface areas and volumes of spheres. So we're going to do surface areas today. So not only is it of spheres, but we're going to talk about hemispheres too. So if you scroll down through your notes here, a sphere is any round object. So like think of like a baseball, a basketball, a golf ball, a tennis ball. Any perfect circle is a sphere. So our surface area formula is going to be 4 pi r squared. So not only are we going to find the surface area of a sphere, but we're going to find the surface area of a hemisphere. So if you think about a sphere, a hemisphere is half of that. You're going to take that circle and you're going to cut it in half. So not only is it 1/2 that original formula, but you have to add pi r squared. So if you think about like a circle, if you were to cut it in half, it has that flat part on the top that you have to account for. That's your pi r squared. So if you took an orange and you cut it in half, not only are you finding the surface area of the outside of the orange, but that flat part on the bottom where you can put the orange flat on the ground, that is also part of the surface area. So that's why you have to add that little part. We're going to come back to circumference of great circle and the area of a great circle. But what your great circle is if I were to cut that orange in half, that flat part, that is called your great circle. Okay? So first we're going to just talk about surface area of hemispheres and spheres. So I went ahead and I wrote the formulas up top here so that we have them to look at. So I would write the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. The surface area for a hemisphere is 1/2 4 pi r squared plus pi r squared. So go ahead and write that down at the top of your paper. So if we look at our examples, the first two are spheres, so we're going to do the top formula in blue. The bottom two are hemispheres because they're cut in half, so we're going to do that bottom formula, which is in pink. So the first one, and if you notice, we only have one variable to plug in, and it's r, our radius. So our first formula, surface area equals 4 pi. My radius, I know it's a little hard to see here, is 5. Squared. So in my calculator I have 4 pi 5 squared, or I could even just multiply by 25, and I get 314. It says round to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to round it to 0.2. And it's meters, and we're doing surface area again. So it is units squared. The next one, surface area equals 4 pi. It gives my diameter is 7, so I'm going to split that in half. 3.5 squared. And I get 153.9. My units is inches squared. Now we're going to try the hemispheres. It's not much harder. You still only have one variable, r. The difference is I have to plug r in once and twice. So my surface area equals 1/2 4 pi. My radius is 3 squared plus pi 3 squared. And if you wanted to do 4 pi times 9 plus pi times 9, you could certainly do that. So in our calculators, 1/2 or 0.5, 4 pi 3 squared, and then make sure you close the big parenthesis, plus pi 3 squared. And we get 84.8. So again, I'll show you how I put that in my calculator. 1/2, put in parentheses, 4 pi, slide over, times 3 squared. I close that parenthesis and that parenthesis, plus pi times 3 squared. And I got 84.8. Let's try the next one. Surface area is 1/2 4 pi. My radius is 4.5 squared plus pi 4.5 squared. So again, 1/2 4 pi 4.5 squared plus pi 4.5 squared. And I get about 190.9. And it's centimeters squared.